Next, just to illustrate how involved the agribusiness transportation network is. I've got an example, and it's a live example of one of my customers. It's a railroad customer. It could be in Georgia. I particularly didn't use a Georgia company because we'd have to pick one and everybody else would be mad, so I'm using something else. But it's an example of how corn moves. It's produced, it's delivered to the feed mills, it's fed, poultry is produced, sold out. So it ties into a lot of the things that the folks on this panel are going to be saying today. Just when you're listening to it and seeing the slide go through, I want you to think about where the pinch points are. I'll identify some. I'm sure there's others that you'll identify for yourselves. Think about where in this supply chain your company can insert yourself or see something that can be done better. They'll either create new business for you or create efficiency in the network. And I think you'll be interested to see this. Okay. We're starting out. We have a grain elevator in Fort Wayne, Indiana. Feed mill down here in South Carolina. He wants to buy corn to feed turkeys. Farmer, first thing happens, the farmers have to buy seed, plant it, they got to fertilize it, they got to keep the weeds down, they got to buy fuel to run the tractors, and they got to buy fuel to run the trucks involved on the farm. Then we have the banks supplying credit to that farmer because he can't afford to put out 5,000 acres at $400 an acre out of cash. So he has to borrow the money to do that. So we've got a lot of people involved here. Train gets loaded at Fort Wayne. Allen County, Indiana, is the highest producing county in the state for corn production. They produce 157 bushels per acre. I think Governor Perdue, probably Georgia, is probably 100 bushels an acre at best. So to do this, these farmers are planting corn out there. It takes 1,918 acres to load one corn train. This particular feed mill takes 52 trains a year. Multiply that by 22, which is the number of integrated poultry feed mills we have across the Southeast. Huge amount of commerce happening out here, a lot of moving parts all the time. When it's being loaded, federal graders are on hand. They certify the quality of the grain, the moisture content. They have to inspect the cars to make sure they're suitable for transportation, because this is moving into a food chain. It's going down to feed animals with at some point. Okay. Start moving down the railroad. It's coming on. It comes down through Columbus, gets into Roanoke. We have 8 crew district changes between Fort Wayne and Chester, South Carolina. We have to change crews 8 times. That's 8 opportunities for failure. Honestly, that is. The trains come into Roanoke. Well, if they're fighting on this particular track, we call this our Heartland Corridor. We call it double stack intermodal trains from Norfolk to Chicago. They're 2 miles long. When they get out on the railroad, they run because there's nowhere to put them. So they're going to get precedence. So the corn train is fighting opposing traffic all the time. He gets into a Roanoke terminal. The coal train's going out of Roanoke. Going east, you're fighting the opposing traffic going back. You fight for power, you fight for crews. Export coal right now is the hottest thing going. Australia had all their floods last year. They are not exporting coal. The U.S. is the supplier of coal to the world. Export coal business is probably up 35–40%. You're fighting these opportunities all the time. It's 918 miles from Fort Wayne to Baskerville. Round trip, that's 1,836 miles. Locomotive burns 3.8 gallons per mile on a round-trip basis. So we're consuming huge amount of fuel. Came off that pipeline, has to get to a fueling station to supply these locomotives with fuel to make this transportation happen. Then we get out at Chester. That's a short line, one of our short line partners. We give the train to them, they deliver it to the feed mill. Okay. Now we're at the feed mill. That mill makes feed 7 days a week, 52 weeks a year. They grow, well, actually they feed animals out about a 78-mile radius of that mill. They take the corn in, soybean meal in, different commodities, make feed, truck it out to the farmers to feed turkeys. They produce nothing but toms. 25 truckloads a day, he trucks into the Shenandoah Valley. 10 trucks a load a day, he trucks over to Newberry, South Carolina. So we have 35 trucks a day of live animals leaving this territory to be fed. It takes 75 feed mill trucks per day to keep those animals in the field fed. That's a lot of movement, a lot of rubber tires, a lot of diesel fuel, a lot of road checks, a lot of scales. Just a lot of things that can happen. Weather. Okay. Turkeys are produced. He doesn't process them here. They have to go to the Shenandoah Valley, Virginia, which is 332 miles from where they're produced at, where they're grown. 25 trucks a day, 5 days a week, 52 weeks a year, up and down the highway. They're specialty trucks. He loads about 950 turkeys per truck. They weigh about 41.5 pounds. It takes 140 weeks to grow one turkey out from poult to ready to go to the processing plant. A lot of time, a lot of money, a lot of opportunities for problems in the meantime. We get up to the plant. Animals are kept cool in the summertime. They're kept warm in the winter. The animals are protected from the weather. The USDA is on site to ensure that the animals are not mistreated and they're handled in the way that they're supposed to be, and to protect the safety of the food chain. Plant processes 10 million hens a year and 6.3 million tom turkeys a year. If this truck doesn't get from Baskinville to the Shenandoah Valley, 2 shifts in that plant don't work. Animals are processed out, ready for the consumers in the major market areas in the Midwest and the Northeast. Remember, I showed you the train came through Columbus, processed, poult can be this truck back to Columbus, Ohio. It's made a cycle of about 1,330 miles in 141 days to be ready to go to market. Again, we've got food safety inspection. We're taking care of it, making sure that the products are being handled in a safe way, protecting the food supply to all of us as ultimate consumers. Normally, time the live turkeys arrive at the processing plant in the Shenandoah Valley, they can be through the plant, processed, delivered to a final consuming point in Columbus, Washington, Baltimore, Philadelphia, Pittsburgh, or New York City within 30 hours. That's how synchronized the process is. They come in, they're moved out, they're handled, they're either blast frozen or most of this is fresh product, but within 30 to 36 hours, it's on the shelf, ready for the consumer. Okay, Ken Cash is with U.S. Department of Agriculture and Food Safety Inspection, and I'd like for you to go and just talk about some of these inspections that occur during the process in the supply chain, because if the inspector doesn't show up that day, that processing plant can't run.